Good morning, everyone. Jeremy here. I am in Founders Park, also known as Memorial Park, here in basically downtown Celebration. Wanted to talk today about my training experience with Disney. I am a full-fledged cast member now, as of just a few days ago. So I finished my training. Wow, that's a lot of trash. And it was extensive. But anyway, how's everyone doing? This fine, well, it's Sunday when I'm doing this video, Sunday morning. Was it the 19th, something like that? But long story short, I applied for Disney, I think about 4 months ago, and took about three and a half months to finally get the call as far as getting a job offer. And I went in with Food and Beverage QSR specifically, which is quick service restaurant. And so this is, these experiences are, take it with a grain of salt, because this was specifically for food and beverage. So my guess is something like custodial or attractions is probably going to be easier, ? I'm not sure. As far as things to know doing custodial, I can't imagine it's going to come anywhere close to what you need to know doing a food and beverage role. You have to get trained on serving alcohol, food safety. You have to get tested on all that. I think it's probably much more extensive than, like I said, something than custodial. I could be wrong. I have no idea. But let's get started with this. It's about 3 weeks ago. I went to the traditions class, which is just north of. These birds are really very vocal this morning. It's just north of Magic Kingdom at I almost said Denver University. I always want to say that. Disney University. Denver is where I'm from. Anyway, Disney University. It's just north of Magic Kingdom, and that whole experience was fantastic. You've got three days of traditions training. And you're basically going over the fundamentals of, being a cast member, like the 5 keys. Those are the fundamentals that every cast member kind of lives by. Safety being the most important key, followed by courtesy, inclusion, which was added just a few years ago, show, and efficiency. And it's basically kind of like a moral compass also, just the way that you're supposed to, hold yourself, accountable for everything that you're doing and whatnot. And, guest interaction is absolutely critical with all cast members. Disney University, excuse me, is, it's a really cool place. If you're into like the old Disney or even new Disney stuff, that place is just plastered with amazing art, some really cool stuff. Like it's a drop ceiling, and there's like Goofy and Donald hanging out of some of the tiles. Like they have fun with it. And there's a whole room called the Walt Room, and it's just plastered with old photographs and whatnot of Walt Disney. And they really hold Walt in a very, what's a good way to say, in very high regards, which is really awesome, because that's where my love for Disney started, was, all the old stuff. Walt was, he had already died by the time I went to Disneyland for the first time over 40 years ago. But he's the one that started it all, and it's cool to see the way they hold him in such a high light, which is fantastic. Sorry. got leaves falling on me. Every time I do a video from this park, something happens. The last time there was some type of incident with emergency vehicles, helicopter, a girl falling off her bicycle. It's kind of ironic, so I'm hoping for the best here, but the traditions class really just kind of, like I said, it goes over what's expected as being a cast member. And for the most part, you could tell everyone really wanted to be there for the most part. Some people, it's kind of interesting how they got there, because they didn't seem like maybe they were really that interested in the whole aspect of it being Disney, but you know, whatever. What was I going to say about university? The instructors were absolutely incredible. They were, I'd say the vast majority really did a master class in customer service, and Disney is known for that. In fact, I'm pretty sure they even train other corporations on service. It's if you have a bad experience with a cast member, I don't think it was the training. I think it's the actual person that you had a bad interaction with, because they take it very seriously. So the traditions classes lasted over 3 days, and I was actually emotional when I was leaving, because some of the instructors were just incredible people that really cared. So that was a great experience. And the last day we got to go over to costuming, which the security to get in there, they take it very seriously. And that place, walking in there, you know, just picture a grocery store full of Disney costumes. You know, we don't wear uniforms, we wear costumes. Absolutely incredible, very magical. That's where I picked up my shoes for cruise, my slip resistant shoes for food service, which were provided for by the company, which is fantastic. So I finished that first week, the 3 days of traditions. And then the next week I went to my home base, which is Blizzard Beach. And that's where my training, my real on-site training started. And that was a very different experience. First day was orientation. We got to kind of see everything in the park, learn about, you know, the different locations, where things are located when guests ask for, you know, location of towels, emergency areas. We have different codes, what to do when there's lightning, you know, because it's a water park. You know, there was a lot to know. And first day wasn't bad, orientation. Second day was actual hands-on operational training, and that day was intense. It got pretty crazy. I have a lot of experience in the industry, and I kind of decided to kind of push myself into the fire a bit, and jumping on the pizza oven. It got, wow, that was a big leaf that hit me in the head. Almost feels like it cut my ear. Anyway, maybe it's God reminding me, like, not to say too much. I gotta be careful how much I share, but I'm not gonna say anything that's too revealing as far as, like, you know, company secrets or anything like that. But yes, they have an oven because we're actually cooking pizza. Let me tell you, the volume is it's no joke. It's serious. We also we're putting together things like the chicken and rice bowls, and you know, you're literally just taught how to put them together. You know, it's relatively easy. The only thing that gets really daunting is how busy it gets. So that was probably the most difficult part, on top of the end of shift cleaning. Now, most kitchens, not all kitchens, but most kitchens, you know, the cleanup is pretty extensive, and the cleanup here was no joke. I'll have to say their attention to detail to making sure everything is properly cleaned and sanitized. I mean, you're wearing personal protective equipment literally just to do clean certain things, and that was kind of like shocking. There's a lot of people that you're working with, also cast members. That was also one of the most stressful aspects of training in these kitchens, is the amount of people you're trying to work around. Half the time, you know, you're calling out your location so people don't back into you, and while you're trying to, you know, navigate to one end to the other. And there's a lot of things to know. You're constantly getting drilled into your head, like where things are located. And it's like, for me, that place was a maze, and I still have a lot to learn. My training is over, but you're always learning. At least for me, you know, I always want to be learning. But that was probably the most difficult aspect. If anyone gets into a QSR type of position, just know that there's a lot to know. And if you've never done food and beverage before, just know that you're going to have to learn a lot about food safety, you know, proper handling techniques, temperatures, you know, all of that. You need to learn that type of stuff, and you will be tested on it. I had no problem with any of that, and quite honestly, a lot of people were kind of panicked a little bit about doing the CAPA, which is the last day, your knowledge and performance assessment tests. I passed it, no problems. But yeah, it's stressful because you got certain instructors coming in saying, like, this is so important, pass this test. And this other guy that I was in training with that I helped earlier, who thought he could, how do I put this nicely? He's a bit of a dumpster fire, but he kind of comes off as saying, oh, I can do this, but he has like no experience. And I was helping him pour beer during training, and yeah, I have a lot to say about him. We really thought he was going to flunk out because, quite honestly, day 2 of training, people didn't show up after the first day. Like, people called out the second day probably because their brains and their body were broken. You know, it was a full, you know, 8-hour shift. I think it was an 8.5-hour shift, but you know, you take a break and you're working. You're not sitting around just talking. I mean, you are working, and you know, the amount that you need to know. And then after the end of that shift, you're doing some pretty deep, greasy cleaning. I don't think a lot of people understand food and beverage. Well, a lot of food and beverage can just be working like a ODF, outdoor food vending, like, you know, someone selling churros, for instance, or popcorn from a cart. But QSR, that's a different animal. Now, you also do get trained on registers out front, and you know, you get proper cash taking procedures. There's many different ways of taking payment with Disney, but quite honestly, their point of sale system is very straightforward. I really didn't have many issues with it. But you do get some of that exposure as well, as far as dealing with the guests and taking orders, taking payment. And that's kind of where everything got better for me. The first 2 days were just in the kitchen, on, you know, no windows, and that kind of broke me a bit. Like, I was really feeling like, is this gonna be my Disney career? Because quite honestly, excuse me, got an itch. I've been doing this for so long, and I want to get out of that. My last restaurant that I owned, it was 15 years. The last 15 years I was in that kitchen, and there's no windows, you know, and I'm kind of tired of that. I want to do something else. I want to be outside. I want to be dealing with people, or inside if it's really cool, like somewhere like Galaxy's Edge. But that kind of really made me rethink everything. But my third day of on-site training was kind of a game changer for me, and that's when I got to do outdoor vending, ODV, outdoor vending, or ODF, outdoor foods. And we got to do some of the stuff like the warming hut, cooling hut, icy expeditions, Arctic expeditions, those satellite locations, you know, where you're selling like the personal size pizzas, the pretzels, hot dogs, you know, that type of stuff, and dealing with the guests face to face. I really enjoy that because I am extroverted. I'm not scared of you know, public speaking or doing a vlog in the middle of a park like this, you know. So it's kind of right up my alley, and had a lot of fun doing that. Like I said, there's a lot to know. Got to learn everything that is sold at all these other different satellite locations, and then the cleanup on every single one of these locations is a different process, and but it was rewarding. We had some amazing instructors, trainers, and there was one moment at icy expeditions where it got so busy, and you have the trainer dealing with 3 trainees with 2 other employees in there. So there's 5 people in this little box, you know, think of a food truck basically. And I think that location is actually, it's based off of a like an Arctic, like a snowcat. It's pretty cool. And everyone's trying to figure out what order has been done. You're supposed to clear it out on the computer, and things weren't getting cleared out, and everyone just kind of stopped and just broke down laughing because it was so busy, and the whole situation just kind of became ridiculous. And it was kind of nice to see that human side of a trainer, and and you know, it just kind of brought everyone together. And speaking of bringing everyone, or things that bringing people together, you know, when I first moved here, I really had no friends. You know, I have my wife, which is incredible, but I left all my friends and family behind. And I'll say this, I can honestly say I have some work friends now, just from the training, because, you know, when you're in the trenches, basically, in tough situations, that really does help bring people together. And other cast members that have been there for, you know, whether it's months or years, if you have questions, they are so helpful. They will help you out, answer any questions. For the most part, everyone has been extremely friendly, which is fantastic, and very welcoming, and very knowledgeable on how things work. And speaking of how things work, if you do land a position that maybe you're not completely keen on with Disney, just keep in mind, this might sound terrible, but you can transfer out of that position after a year. So yeah, I can't get out of food service for a year, but I can try to transfer out of that location after 6 months. So that's kind of cool. So, like, theoretically, I could get accepted if I put in for a transfer, let's say with Magic Kingdom, within 6 months. And there's also these Facebook groups where you can actually trade or pick up or give up shifts. And if you're trained in that area, like QSR or ODF, Outdoor Foods, like, theoretically, I've already been looking at picking up some shifts in Magic Kingdom, which is pretty cool. The only thing that's scary is, like, you don't exactly know where to go, and with the utilidor, is that what it, I can't remember, the tunnels basically, in Magic Kingdom, I know nothing about that stuff. And you know, then you got to go to costuming, and with Magic Kingdom you have to go park and then get bussed in, so that's a whole nother animal. So I'm much more interested in trying to pick up something at, like, Hollywood Studios, or, you know, something like that. Apparently there's some specific training that needs to be done at Animal Kingdom, which I'm not familiar about with really, but there are possibilities, you know, there are opportunities to pick up other shifts and to transfer eventually. And that leads me to some things that aren't that great. And that's, I got hired on as a part-timer. Full disclosure, like, you are not guaranteed any hours. You know, you've got your training hours, but you know, that's it. And we were told like we're not really, it's going to be kind of slower until like a couple weeks, like May up to mid-May, and then it's going to really pick up with Typhoon Lagoon, and we might need to help over there as well, but you're not guaranteed any hours. My first non-training shift was Friday, this last Friday. I think that was the 17th, and that was a 2 o'clock in the morning shift. I left my house at 1:30, and I almost clocked in late, actually, because I didn't know where to go. And you know, I pull into the parking lot, and cast members are helping direct, you know, other cast members that are working the event. It was for the Disney Run event, on where to go. And you park, and it took me 10 minutes just to walk to the computer that I needed to clock in at. And I had to go to costuming the other day to get my ESPN costume. So, but what I was doing, I was one of 19 people ringing up people for food and beverage early in the morning, obviously 2 o'clock in the morning. You know, things like apples, not apples, I'm sorry, oranges, the little cutie oranges, bananas, donuts, coffee, water, Gatorade, not Gatorade, Powerade, you know, just stuff like that. And then once 6 o'clock in the morning hit, people were lining up, getting ready to buy the souvenir cups for the beer. And people were just buying just that cup, and you know, paying a lot of money just for a plastic cup. But the amount of beer that we were selling was it was pretty intense. I mean, it was a couple hours of just straight, you're just taking an order and you're going to get the beer and giving it to the guests, and it was busy. The only good thing I can say is time went fast. But when the end of that shift came, we consolidated down to, you know, just a few registers, and we were cleaning everything up, getting ready to, you know, end that for the day. And that's when I had an interesting conversation with one of my coordinators. You could think of them as, you know, leadership basically, or like an assistant manager. You know, they're referred to as a coordinator. And if you ever see someone walking around in a yellow shirt around the water parks, that's a coordinator. And had a good talk with one, basically saying, hey, you know, other people are kind of like counting down till when they get to go home, and I'm busy making sure all the guests are getting taken care of, you know, backing up some of these other people that are still running register. And he said he noticed, which was really cool. But I basically said, how do I get noticed? Because it's frustrating. This guy that I was talking about earlier, who I'm helping him with, I didn't even tell you. I'm helping this guy pour beer. I'm helping him with all kinds of stuff. And we thought he was going to flunk out. He said he was going to flunk out. They assigned one trainer just for him on his last day to try to get him back up to speed and get him caught up, because, you know, they spent a lot of money getting all of us trained, so they didn't want to have to flunk him out. But we thought he was going to flunk out. He said he was going to flunk out. He was freaking out. But this guy has already worked for Disney through the college program, and he already has hours at his old home base and his park, and he's picking up shifts, and he's been working ever since I met him through training. He's been getting 40 hours a week, and I'm sitting here with none. And I mean, and I, you know, the level of knowledge and performance that I have over this guy, it's, you know, it's not fair, but it's how it's done at Disney. They reward seniority, and I understand that they want to reward people that have been there, you know, the longest. But that doesn't mean that the best person is going to be doing the job, unfortunately. So that is a frustrating aspect when you've got someone that you can run circles around and they've got hours and you don't. So that's one aspect I'm just trying to figure out. You know, we'll see how it goes. But I'm trying to pick up these other shifts and whatnot at other parks. But at the same time, I want to make sure I'm really comfortable. I don't want to, you know, I don't have that much time like on the point of sale systems, and I don't want to go to another park and act like, oh yeah, I know everything, and get humbled badly, you know. So I'm just taking it one day at a time, and if you end up getting into a position, that's all I can say is take it one day at a time. You're gonna have real rough days, you're gonna have good days, you know, good days with good interaction with your leadership and your trainers and your fellow cast members. But just know that you're never alone. There's always someone to talk to regarding, like, if you need help, if you're panicking and you need a breather, just let a leader know, like, I need a 10-10, and that's like, it means I need a breather, like I need to step away, I need some water, I need whatever, you know, just a quick break to breathe. They take that stuff very seriously, and also hydration. They take it so seriously. They want to make sure that their cast members are not gonna drop you know, on the ground from dehydration. Speaking of, I need a sip of my piping hot coffee. And yes, that is hot. So yeah, overall the experience has been much more intensive than I was expecting. But mainly because, like, if you get a job at, like, let's say McDonald's or something, they're going to start you off, you know, at certain sections for days and weeks, so you master it before you move to the next section in a kitchen. Here, it's like, think about, like, let's say, I'm just saying, like a McDonald's, you're having to learn every aspect of the McDonald's. You're cooking the burgers, you know, you're putting the burgers together, you're also doing register, you're also doing cleanup. So, you know, there is a lot to learn, but I'm really curious to see what it would be like doing attractions type of position. But at the same time, I've talked to trainers saying, you know, attractions, you know, they can be really boring. You're standing in the same spot doing the same thing for a while, but I think it would be really cool if I was doing like something like Smuggler's Run or Rise of the Resistance. That could be really cool. So we'll see where all this goes. I'm trying to think of anything else I can say from the training aspect. Yeah, just just know that there's a lot to learn. It would not be a bad idea if you're in training to go home and study some stuff, because a lot of it, especially with food safety, it's very serious, and they take it seriously. And I'm really actually very glad how seriously they do take food safety, because it's always been like one of my most critical concerns, you know, when you're working with new people. I mean, I've seen people grab raw chicken and then, you know, grab utensils or something. Like, it's, you know, people can do some stupid stuff. So they really kind of I think the way they what's the term, I don't know, separate everything basically as far as operations. They get rid of a lot of that, and that's probably why, you know, culinary specifically just kind of takes care of the food preparation. But like I said, I'm just trying to make sure I covered everything. Yeah, I think that's about all I have to say about that. Of course, when I'm editing, I'm like, I'll probably be like, oh man, why didn't I mention this or that? But I'll be doing some other videos, I'm sure, on cast member life. I do know if you are able to get a full-time position, you are guaranteed, I'm pretty sure, 32 hours. And you can always pick up other hours, but keep in mind, if you work part-time, you're not guaranteed any hours. So I know that sounds crazy, but it's the way they do it. And I'm not going to say anything else about that. You know, they kind of have the upper hand because a lot of people want to work for Disney, me included. So, you know, they have that ability to do that. But I guess in a way, it is kind of cool that they do give people opportunity to be employed with the company. But that being said, tomorrow, my buddy Jeff Adams from Creative on the Mend, him and I are going to be going to Magic Kingdom. Oh, yeah, I was gonna say Magic Kingdom, and probably we might do some park hopping. But that's another perk. I'm getting him in with my pass. I got it's called a main gate pass, and I also have guest passes, and I can take a guest or up to 3 at a time guests 16 times for the year. So I'm going to be using one of my passes basically to get Jeff in, and should be a great time. I've done a video with him before. Actually, the video that we did last time started here in this park, and great guy. Go check out his channel, Creative on the Mend. But yeah, we're gonna be doing that tomorrow, so I'm really excited to hang out with him again and do that vlog. That's gonna be a lot of fun. But yeah, until then, I hope any of this was informative, and I will see you guys next time. Please hit me up in the comments if you have any questions. I'll try to answer whatever I can without getting myself in trouble with the company. That's the last thing I want to do. Anyway, I'll see you guys real soon. Thanks again. Bye-bye.